Hello and welcome to the first episode of the 1981 Digital Podcast. Today we have with us Zach Adams of 1221 Photography. Zach, how are you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm so stoked that we're doing this. I feel like we have we have a lot of mutuals in the area, and so it's super sick to kind of be just hanging out, chatting about your story. So sick to have you here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Right on, dude. So I wanted to start this out as super softball as possible. You're hanging out. It's a Saturday night. You've got friends. It's a Saturday. It doesn't even have to be night. You got friends in town.
Yeah.
Where are you going to eat? Where are you going to drink? And where are you going to hang out?
I'm probably going to either Luminary or Azteca.
Dope.
Somewhere downtown, like live music somewhere, and probably just end up back at the house on the patio.
I love it. I mean, you were doing a lot with Love It over the summer, all the live music things, and those were happening. It's every Thursday, right?
Yeah, every Thursday.
Dope. So you're super connected, both on the event side and even the music side, I would imagine.
A little bit.
Yeah, super sick. So how has that connection kind of come about? What's your...
I mean, honestly, it was just, at first it started off with just wanting content, wanting stuff to be able to put out, to stay on people's minds, and then Levitt was the first year I went out there, I took pictures because I didn't even know what was going on.
Sick.
And then I posted them and I tagged whoever I seen at Levitt. And then the next year they were like, we seen what you did last year on your own. We want to hire you to do it this year. And so that was the first year. And this past summer was the second year. So that's how it started. And going to farmers markets, I would just take pictures of dogs and kids and families just having fun. And then it was like a game almost where I would post them and, people would tag themselves or their friends would tag them. And it just started off with that. And basically just, I wanted to take pictures of stuff going on in Springfield, post it, just in case somebody doesn't know this is happening.
Yeah. That's so sick. Honestly, so I've been here now 2 years, and my wife and I talk all the time, we always feel like we don't know what's going on outside of when a neighbor says something to us about it, or if we hear about something. The farmer's market, somebody told us about as soon as we moved here, which was so sick. We love the Saturday market. But yeah, I've been here 2 years, and I didn't really know that Love It was happening until I saw your post about it, actually. So it's kind of this funny thing. It's super true that and it works. Your whole philosophy behind this very well worked. So
well, I appreciate that.
It's super cool to see just how you engage the community in that way. I mean, it's it is community building.
Yeah.
But it was kind of secondhand to just caring about the community that you live in and work in.
100%.
That's so cool to hear. I think when I think about your work and I think about how I see you even engage online on socials or whatever, there's always this air of community about you and the work that you're doing. But I didn't know that was like a core value, I guess, of why you started doing what you did. That's so cool.
I mean, I just feel like everybody, especially small businesses, everybody needs, as we grow, take somebody with you, and if I'm out at an event and I'm there anyway, and I take pictures and I post, and that gets more people into those businesses, most of the time, then those businesses are like, hey, I want to work with you to do this, this, and this, and just keep the cycle going.
Absolutely. Man, that's so cool. And it's so sick that I think everybody feels a little bit, especially when they get started in the industry, there's they're wet behind the ears a little bit, and they're like, okay, well, I got to make money. And it's pump the brakes on that a little bit. You know what I mean? And it's great to want to make money. We should want to do that, right? But when your focus is on the people more and the care that you have for those people, right?
Definitely.
Every picture of every person on your Instagram, and I have dug through your Instagram in the last few weeks, for like as we were getting ready for this, like I feel like connected to them, and that you're very connected to them.
Yeah.
Even when it's just a picture from like the Saturday market, you know,
Yeah.
and it's someone with a dog and like their kids. Like it
Yeah.
just feels very natural. So I love. It's so cool to see like the community that you've built, even inadvertently.
Yeah.
Even when it is like part of your kind of your mission. So that's so sick,
I
man.
appreciate that.
Man, oh man, I love it. So, you're from Peoria originally, right?
Yes.
Is born and raised in Peoria?
Born and raised in Peoria.
Dope.
Went to Manual High School. Graduated from there in 2004, and then went to ICC, Illinois Central College in East Peoria, for graphic design. Then I moved here in 2008, just because, just something different, you know. And my dad lived here.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, hey, you mind if I come stay with you for a little bit and see if I even like Springfield? And did that and haven't went back. So
Man, that's so cool. It is like such a unique place. I don't know if you found this, but would you say that there's like almost a bigger sense of community in Springfield versus like Peoria, which it's a little bit bigger, I think, in terms of population, different like industry for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you think that Springfield kind of has like a tighter knit sense of that?
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if it was mixed with me living most of my adult life in Springfield, but I definitely found it easier to make friends and like get involved with things, and like this person knows this person and knows this person, and it just definitely had a better sense of community.
That's super cool. I hadn't even like noticed that, I guess, directly, the like mutuality of Springfield a little bit, but it's so true. I feel like, you know, when I talk to like Benny at Good Hearts or like Hugh from Saying Visuals, like the amount, like the Venn diagram of those two people, like it's crazy. And I mean, even then, like how they relate to you, like that Venn diagram, there's even more overlap.
Right.
And that web spreads even further. So that's super cool. I love thinking about like just the friend element of that too. Like however businessy that is or not, even if it's just like
most of my whole like Facebook and Instagram at one point was just from when I moved here, being at like they're all closed now, but like Catch 22 and like Oasis and Firehouse, like just downtown bars and clubs. I met so many people that, you know, turn from Saturday nights to, hey, come to the cookout on Monday or something, you know, and I just got to know a lot of people.
I love that, man. That is so cool. And I love like I said, I've only been like here for like 2 years now, but I do really feel that like it's something about maybe it's the people, right? Like it's in them too. It's the Midwestern in us, you know.
Definitely.
That like there's that desire to kind of like have those relationships, but it is very like, I mean, almost palpable, like how you just you feel that with the people that you're around and that you talk to. That's so sick. Very cool. So you've been in Springfield now since 2008, so 15 years. Super cool. How long have you been doing photography? Like total, I guess. How have you been? Were you doing it before you moved from Peoria, or?
Well, it started in high school. Shout out to Larry Hendricks, my art teacher.
We love it.
He had a after school photography program, and he had, I think, like 3 cameras, and he would just let us explore. And he told me, he was like, I knew you were different when you're the only one that lay down on the ground. I was trying to get an ant crawling.
Love it.
And he taught us how to develop film. I forgot all of that now, but and then honestly, just with cell phones from that point, because I couldn't afford a camera.
Yeah.
And I started taking pictures with cell phones, just like everywhere I went. And people started asking me like, "What kind of camera do you have?" I'm like, iPhone 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know. And when I got my first camera, I believe it was a Rebel T5, and I got that in 2016. And from there, just taking pictures, not being on auto, not knowing what I was doing, and trying to ask around. And that was the first time that I kind of got, some of the older photographers. I would see them out, and I would just walk up to them and ask them, and they'll kind of had I wouldn't say a chip on their shoulder.
No, I get it though.
They were like, I went to school for this. I learned this. You got to figure this out. And I was like, all right, I respect that. Okay, cool. And so I went home and I just turned my camera on manual and just started figuring stuff out. And here we are, But I would say professionally, 2020. 2020, COVID, for most people, I'm not going to say it was easy, but for most people it was rough. But COVID allowed me to, with everything shut down, it allowed me to basically pour everything into photography. I just went out and documented everything.
So cool.
Parks being closed, businesses being closed, streets just bare. And the George Floyd protest happened downtown. And I had never been to a protest before. And so I went down there, started taking pictures. And it was like the first time that I've ever cried, like behind the camera.
Yeah.
And capturing all of that, I put them on my page. Didn't think anything of it. Just like, this is history, I feel.
Yeah.
Illinois Times picked it up. The Illinois State Museum picked it up and offered me my first exhibit.
Wow.
And they thought about it, and they were like, well, we don't want to wait to see when things open up, because at that point they didn't know when that was going to happen.
Yeah, sure.
So they just blew up my pictures big and just made them basically stickers and stuck them on the outside of the museum.
Holy cow.
And I was just like kind of, mind blown.
Absolutely.
At that. And, people drove by and took pictures. And I would say most people know me from that. And then from there, I got so many eyes on me. I just, started slowly learning more, shooting more. And I think that's got me to where I'm at now, because photographers have always told me you need to find a lane, pick a lane.
Sure.
And I'm like, I didn't feel like that fit me. I wanted to shoot everything, at least for now.
Yeah.
When I get older, I might slow down and do one thing or a couple of things. But, if you got kids, a wedding, family stuff, boudoir, models, cars, anything you want a picture of, I want to be able to at least attempt to do that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, where I'm at now. And artistically, I'm just now starting to artistically shoot. And because I draw too.
Oh, cool.
But I haven't drawn in a long time. But that artistic side, pretty much, I would say that's what also started the community thing, because I would see something that looks interesting and I would just take a picture of it. And, that might happen to be a kid that just got in trouble and is crying, pouting. And I just get that image. And it's now I'm starting to work on artistic stuff.
I love that.
See what I can do with that.
There is something to be said for having those photojournalistic roots though. I think that those inform our artistic decisions for sure. In the example of a kid, he's in trouble and he's pouting, right? You feel that, you know what I mean? That is this none of us have almost none of us probably have gone our whole lives without being punished in some capacity, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's it's very connected,
100%.
And art affects everybody differently. That's super a super fair assumption, but all of us have felt that feeling of mom said I can't go to insert, Jeremy's house for the sleepover tonight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Cause I got an F on my spelling test, whatever. That we've all lived the punishment, but not all of us interpret art the same way. So there is this cool value where you have these photojournalistic roots and tendencies, and you're now swinging that artistic like wing on it. I think that that's some of the coolest art, truly. Like, I think it's so cool to see where those worlds meld.
Yeah.
And it's so cool diving into your work because you have existed in all of those spaces, you know, from like weddings to events to seniors and like ballet and boudoir. And so that's super sick to see, like, that you're like, no, I just like want to do all of it. Like, I love all of this so much. And it, like, there's the community element to it as well, like, because of how, like, what it means to each of those clients, even, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's like this very there's a very beautiful thing about that, and how you feel about how it feels to them too.
Yes.
It sounds very meta, but
that was a thing that I wasn't prepared for. Like, I 100% thought, okay, I'm going to make a Facebook page, I'm going to post pictures, and that's just what it was going to be. I didn't think it was turn into my pictures affecting people, and like people come up to me and say, like, they don't even know me or know the people in the pictures, and they're like, this picture made me cry, or, you know, I might work with a woman or a kid or a teenager, and that may not have seen themselves in a certain way before, and then they get the pictures back and they're like, that's me, and I'm like, that's you
right there, man. That's super super cool to hear. I had a note here. There's like this sense, these things tie in, I think, but like your Instagram, your socials in general have this like kind of thread of like self-love, self-care. You have like you're often posting like daily affirmations where you're like, listen, I'm not telling you this to like come shoot with me, like book me. I'm telling you this because I want you to have a great day.
100%.
And I think that's like such a cool thing. How did, like, where does that come from? Like, is there something like that is there a place that stems from? And what kind of accountability does like posting those create for yourself? And how do you, we'll start there.
Basically, I've always been a pretty positive person. And so I've seen how being positive affects other people, and being around positive things and positive people affects other people. Just from, you know, I'm not always positive. You know, I get down sometimes.
Sure, yeah.
But being down, I started to pay attention to what then started lifting me up, you know. And coming up, you know, before an adult, I feel like my age, there really wasn't as much access to like Google stuff about, you know, why do I feel like this, or what does this mean, and what is depression. And so when I was, you know, coming up high school and stuff, I didn't have affirmations to look at or whatever. And so now as an adult, now I'm learning all these things. I just feel like having a good self-worth helps everything. And I feel like we all struggle with depression. We all struggle with not knowing where we fit in this world and how we come off to other people. Yeah. And I honestly feel like no matter what, like positivity will always outshine negativity. And like, that's just what I lead with.
Absolutely. And in a world, I mean, like, goodness, the internet is like such a negative place, overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be like a beacon, you know, like you're putting yourself out there in this way that's like hopefully self-reflective, you know what I mean? Like you're like, if I can be positive, like we could make positive change, positive impact in other people's lives. That's really like a very beautiful thing. And again, like it's so I don't even know. It's so cool to see, like, thinking beyond the like right now for yourself and for others with that. You know, you're taking that out a step further and saying like, I just want you to have a good day too. Like I'm
Yeah.
having a good day, or maybe I'm having a bad day. Honestly, it's Tuesday and it's
Yeah.
raining or whatever. But like today can be like a good day, and I want to speak some positivity out there. So it's
Yeah.
very, very cool to see how kind of outward focused that is towards other people. You know, that's
Yes.
super cool.
Yeah. A lot of times I've run into, like, I'll post a positive, quote or a affirmation or something. And I started noticing a lot of men appreciating it too. And I don't know how old you are, but I'll be 38 this year.
Dope.
And
26. So
okay.
rocking and rolling here.
Yeah. Coming up being told, like, crying is for girls, toughen up. And I feel like now in my late 30s, I'm just learning how to talk about feelings, talk about emotions, understand that you don't, just because you are a man doesn't mean you have to be, hold everything in. Obviously I'm not out here just sad in these streets,
Yeah.
but you can't hold that in. And I'm just now learning that, like, whether it's talking to somebody or, journaling, like, just get that out. And I promise you, it feels better than holding that in and messing up your self-worth,
Man, that's so cool to like hear. And I saw it like on your Instagram when I was digging through, you had said something about like crying more as a girl dad. Like
Yeah.
like how has that like amplified those feelings,
Oh
or
my goodness, yes.
or even like have you noticed is that around the time that you kind of like were noticing these that you wanted to focus on those, like, speaking positively, at least kind of a
Yeah, I mean, because I have a 18-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old daughter, and I've been around women a lot in my life, like aunts and cousins and stuff. And when I had daughters, I already knew, like, I had to adjust things, and I feel like that just opened up. I never, I would cry at certain things,
yeah.
but after having daughters, like Christmas time, I see a commercial, I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean?
Love that. Yeah.
And it just, from there, it definitely opened up a different spot in my heart having, girls.
In that same vein of like posting on like Instagram or going on live to just spread positivity, how does that, when you feel like you're in on that, like regular with journaling or posting about daily affirmations, like how do you think that affects your work, whether that's your output, your creativity, does it change how you approach your art when you're feeling those things?
I would say, honestly, it makes it better, because I say all these things, and sometimes I still get nervous before photo shoots.
Totally.
Sometimes I still have the self-doubt sometimes, So keeping positive helps me kind of jump that hurdle and not get stuck on the other side of that, and then, push through whatever I was trying to accomplish that day.
I love it. And it's cool to think, like, those nerves, those anxieties. I always think that, like, there was a 3-year period where I was doing weddings a lot of Saturdays a year. And, I would text my friend and be like, hey, like, I'm super nervous. And he'd be like, hey, like, I have a wedding today too, and I am also super nervous.
Yeah.
And, like, it was nice to have that, like, that friendship, but it was like also nice to see then, like, that nervousness, like, kind of drives innovation. Like it pushes you to, like, do the thing and do it well, depending on who you are. That was always like my feeling. I was like, man, I'm so stressed. Like I cannot forget XYZ thing, like details, like that kind of a thing. So I think too, like it's how you use the energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be so far inside your own head, even when it feels like you are.
Yeah.
But sometimes that drives that fuels the innovation or fuels the
Definitely.
creativity.
Definitely.
So when we were going through your work,
Mm-hmm.
we saw in 2021 into like 2022,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing a series called Bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell us about that a little bit?
Basically, it started off, I was wanting to mess around with shadows and light and just, I had never done any studio stuff. And so I went in my dad's basement, put black curtains and stuff up and got a couple lights and started messing around with stuff. And once I think I got it figured out, I kind of wanted to highlight different bodies, everybody's body, you know. It ended up being primarily women because all the guys I asked, they were not about it. And I get it,
Sure.
you know, and I thought it was going to be the opposite.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first time I seen like working with people I didn't know, women of all shapes and sizes and ages. People like to see themselves in a different way. And I had no idea how this was going to turn out. I had really no end point. I just wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And every single time I feel like it got better and better. And we literally would just talk. It was a pitch black room with just one single like square light that I just wanted to capture highlights. But as we're doing that, you know, I'm talking to him, trying to get to know him, and whether sometimes there were tears, just because I feel like some people don't talk about their feelings that much.
Yeah.
And I wasn't asking any, you know, hard hitting questions,
Sure.
but you know, stuff just started coming out. And then once I delivered, you know, the pictures, that's more conversation came up, and they're like, "These are beautiful, and I've never seen myself like this before, and thanks for this experience." And in my head, I'm just like, I'm just trying to create, you know, images, but obviously I want anybody and everybody I work with to be comfortable.
Sure.
And that was the goal. And
That's super cool. Do you feel like some of those times doing that specific, it was like a body of work.
yeah,
Do you feel like, how do you feel like that's impacted how you approach maybe current work? Because you, like, Bodies is probably still kind of lives and breathes. Like you would circle back and do it some more. Yeah. But like, you know, now when you think about doing like family photos or events or weddings, like do things that you learned doing something very specific kind of have carryover into a different body of work completely?
Yeah. Doing bodies, it kind of also introduced me to, I had never done like flash.
Oh, cool.
Studio, like flash photography.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, it's probably the same. You know, it's just not a continuous light. And that got some getting used to, you know. But once I got that down, pretty much everything I've learned and done, I try to use every time.
Sure.
Or like at least use that as like a, you know, the Swiss Army knife, like, you know.
Absolutely. Tools in the tool belt.
Yeah.
That's like such an important thing. I always think like how many tools can I have? You know, like it could be a lens, it could be a camera body, it could be a, you know, a flash system or whatever. But at the end of the day, like tools, like thinking about them as tools and how to utilize them for the right thing or opportunity. I think that's everything. That's super cool. I love that for sure. So what now? You, like we talked, you love shooting like all these things from seniors to, you did ballet recently and that was so sick.
Thank you.
But like weddings and events and like branding shoots and everything of those.
Yeah.
And the ones I didn't mention. But what's been like your favorite work recently that you've made?
I would definitely say working with the ballerinas. Like, it's just something about capturing that movement, whether it's a styled shoot or whether it's a performance they're doing. I had never seen ballet before until I got hired to shoot ballet.
Oh, wow.
So when I seen it, the first time I seen it, I think it was the Nutcracker, and the show itself didn't make me cry, but practicing, like when I seen the girls backstage, it really made me realize, hey, these young girls take this very seriously. Like the training, the practicing, the stretching, the making sure the positions are. I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
Sure.
But it looked right the first time, and they're like, nope, I got to keep doing it. I got to get it right. I got to get, I'm just like,
It's so cool.
yeah. And seeing them, I forgot her name, but it was like a swan performance thing, and she literally looked like a swan.
So
Her
cool.
dance movements, I was just like, this is beautiful.
Man.
So probably shooting ballerinas, but in a perfect world, I don't know how I would be. I don't want to say a millionaire, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to rely on necessarily money. I would travel and be a fly on the wall. I feel like my absolute favorite thing to do is not be seen and just catch something natural happening, because I feel like that's something you cannot duplicate.
Truly.
And whether it's a family at a park, whether it's a protest, whether it's the farmer's market, Candace at the Levitt, or if it was a National Geographic type thing,
Sure.
different tribes or people and anything like that, like I would love to do that.
This like I am like so pro like the documentarian kind of approach to like photojournalism.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like to me that is like the thing I have always been. Some of the most intriguing works to me is like that's like the thing that just gets me like stoked.
Yeah.
So that's super neat. It's so cool too because like of the amount of cultural insights that you gain just kind of seeing all these different areas of life,
Mhm.
doing that kind of like travel approach. Outside of that, are there some like dream projects or dream projects that you'd like to work on, whether that's like doing the travel Nat Geo kind of a thing, or
Currently working creatively to be a part of an exhibit at the pharmacy.
Very cool.
The Pharmacy Art Gallery downtown. It will be November 3rd and 4th, and the theme is called Portraits.
Very cool. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
cool.
So right now I am scratching the itch of doing creative photography.
Very cool. When did they announce that, by the way?
They haven't yet.
They haven't yet
No.
announced it. Do you know when they will announce the?
I think they're just waiting on me pretty much.
Okay, sick. So will you complete the? Are you hoping to complete the like all the photos that you want to have for it before?
No.
Okay.
I'm basically going to make a flyer
Oh, dope.
and then, put it out
Yeah.
on Facebook and stuff and social media. And then I'll probably make some actual invites,
Sick.
mail those out too. But I think they usually, they'll announce it probably September, October,
Dope.
on their end.
Yeah.
But I want to get as many people there.
Yeah.
as
Oh my gosh.
possible.
Well, we will for sure be like shouting that out when that
Yeah.
when that announcement comes out, and then we'll be there seeing it. I'm super excited for you.
I'm like pumped.
That's awesome.
The stuff I've already captured is like, it's got me motivated to keep going.
That's so cool. And like, so with doing creative portraits, what do you think is like the leading thing that you're approaching different with it? Is it Is it the gear? Is it the lighting? Is it the...
It's definitely the gear. Um, it's going to be in black and white. Like,
Gotta do
I
it.
love black and white. And it'll be some in studio, some out of studio. Um, basically, I'm working with a ballerina. Um, I'm working with, I want to find somebody like elderly, a lot of wrinkles, a lot of texture on the face. They said 10 to 15 pieces. And so I'm going to try to fill all of those
15,
spots.
yeah.
And I plan on doing them big, like 24 by 36.
There's something about seeing your work big that's just like, oh, it just like hits you right in your
Yeah.
core. There's literally nothing better than that. As a photographer myself, like I think that photography is this like super cool thing, but it lacks this sense of like tangibleness almost all of the time, right? Almost all of the work we consume is on Instagram. Almost all of the like work that we do ends up on someone else's Facebook page, whatever. But there is nothing better than being like finally stoked about a photo you've taken, sending it off to your lab, and then getting that like roll in the mail, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best moment ever. So I can't wait to see all your work printed super big and like celebrated. That's gonna be so cool, man.
I can't wait.
Man, congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll either cut this part out or like wait till we get to like chat about it. Which
I mean, I plan on making the flyer sometime this week. So.
yeah, ain't nothing. We will happily wait for you. No worries there. Man, super cool. Any other like dream projects? I know you've got, so that's like actually in the works, but is there anything that you're like, I have this much of an idea and
I'm working with Miss Illinois. So, I mean,
yeah.
I have no idea where that's going to take me.
So
but,
cool.
you know, I'm excited for that too.
How long of a project or process is that?
That I don't know either.
Okay.
You know, we're just in the beginning stages. And I think if I'm understanding right, I'll be going to some of her, you know, meet and greets when she's meeting with the governor or, you know, talking to kids and stuff. And I'll be event coverage on that. And I think like the crowning, you know, event. And I'm assuming she's going to want, you know, some headshots and stuff like that. So pretty stoked about that.
Makes sense. Very cool. How does it feel now at this point in your career where you've got the tools in your tool belt and now it's like the part where you get to like kind of unload on how you're approaching them, you know?
Yeah.
Like how does that feel like now, you know?
It feels good. It feels good. The one thing that I will say sometimes gets overwhelming is having a 9-to-5 for so long. It's kind of like weird sometimes not having, not necessarily like the boss, but like the worry of like, is this the right job? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus just doing work and getting a check. Sometimes I have to filter like, is this right for me? Do I want to do this? You know, how is this going to look? You know?
Certainly. Man, as a creative, it's this thing like in us where we like, especially as someone who like stepped away from like the 9-to-5 thing where it's like 2 weeks, I'm cashing that check. 2 weeks, cashing the check. I got health insurance. I've got whatever. You know what I mean? Like it gets really hard in November when everyone all of a sudden is like, oh shoot, we need Christmas card pictures.
Right.
All of us.
Yeah.
And like to not take that gig when you're like kind of aware, you're like, oh man, I got Christmas coming up. I gotta buy gifts for people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that that ability to say no is like such a hard thing.
Yeah.
When you are aware a little bit that like, however you set up your, you know, your payments or whatever, nonetheless, it's like there is still that thing where you're like, there are things coming up. It would be nice to have like more comfort money kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now how able do you feel now to say no to more of those things? Like, is that a work in progress, or is that like a thing, you know?
It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit of both, because where I do a lot of stuff for the community, I feel like some people see that, and then I get asked to do a lot of free things, and as much as I want to, I still have, bills to pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's kind of the hardest thing to maneuver, because I don't want to make anybody feel like whatever your thing isn't important enough for me to shoot.
Sure.
But I kind of try to let those things happen organically. And like, if I find out about something, I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to go there and cover this. That's most of the time how it works. But then, yeah, not having the 9 to 5 is like, when somebody, has to reschedule or something, I'm like, oh.
It's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention that it's like, okay, well, we're 3 weeks down the road. I had like the next 2.5 weeks booked out. So like maybe I've got this pocket in that, like whatever that overlap is of the 3 extra days. But yeah.
I'm just now running into the time management thing, because I'm like, shoot, and not thinking about turnaround time and editing. And I'm like, I will shoot so much and then realize like, oh, I'm 11 photo shoots in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I haven't touched any of these yet. So I'm figuring that out. And that also comes with the no thing. When I'm seeing like, you know what? I'm booked. I need me time. I need rest time. I need family time.
Absolutely.
So those no's, I'm also turning those no's into not now, later when I have time.
Sure.
If they are understanding to want to wait, then that helps too.
That's super cool. And what a good way to reframe it too. I think that like so many of us like are so hyper focused on the like right now of the thing, the request, right? Because it's like it's that like instant nature that we're so a part of. Like we post an Instagram story and it's like, okay, instant feedback for the next 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Or social media has this very like just straight immediacy to it, but it's cool that you can say to clients or friends or partners or whatever who are interested, like, yo, I love you and I am interested in this. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying no, but is there any way that like you have, if you do have the time, is there any way that we could maybe push this back to a month from now or 2 months from now?
Yeah.
So it's super cool. What a good way to reframe that.
And most of the time, everybody's cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they're not, like, and they need the immediate thing, then like, it's nice that you don't have to be, like, you don't have to fret about it. Like, you did the thing that you knew that you needed to do in that moment.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, when that does happen, there are situations where, like, I'm not 100% comfortable doing, like, newborn stuff.
Yeah.
And so if there's a situation where it's something I'm not comfortable doing at the moment, or something I don't have time to do at that moment, I'll definitely be like, I'm not ready for that, but this photographer is, and send them. I give them like 2 or 3 options and hope that works out for them.
It's nice to have that in your back pocket too. It is a hard thing to do though sometimes when you're like, there is this feeling of like, I'm gonna really need person number 1 that I wrecked, or person number 2 that I wrecked, who they end up going with, to really do well here, because I don't want my name associated with like I threw a recommendation their way.
Yeah.
Is that like a hard thing to navigate, or do you feel that? I guess like
no, because I feel like the person, whoever I would refer them to, I wouldn't even have referred them, if I didn't already feel that way about that person. But I have, come into the situations where I've done that, and it's an odd feeling, because I've had the client get upset and be like, well, I wanted you to do it. I'm like, I understand that. That kind of made me feel cared about and, you know, wanted.
Sure.
But at the same time, that's when I then have to be like, well, we got to wait a couple months.
Yeah. It's like such a refreshing thing to hear that. Like, I think I need that reminder, like, on projects. Especially like when there are like other tight deadlines.
Yeah.
I think last year, like I was getting ready to get married, and like there were a lot of things going on, and like I think from the second week of like August till like my wedding day, I was booked like all but 2 of those weekends, and it's like I just could only think so immediately, because that's what I'm just like so programmed to do.
Yeah.
You know, from culture or whatever. That's just like right now. And man, I burned myself just out, you know. How do you fight some of those like feelings of burnout?
Honestly, every time, like if I do, let's say I have a photo shoot Saturday, photo shoot Sunday. Let's say I have 4 photo shoots in a 7-day span. And the following week, same thing. The thing that keeps me going, it might sound crazy, but it's like shooting more, but creatively.
Yeah.
You know, and because I like doing the seniors and family stuff and all of that. But doing that so many times, I kind of find myself kind of just in this cycle of, okay, this, done with that shoot. This, done with that shoot. But I break that up with, you know, taking my daughter to the park and like her putting on a princess dress and just shooting that. Or
I love it.
You know, getting some friends together and just like, if they were having a cookout or something, I'll shoot that. You know, it breaks up the other stuff.
That's super cool. I have never like thought about like when I am busy, like upping the amount of like I think that I get into these places like creatively where it's like when I was working in a place where photography and video were part of my job, I got home at the end of the day and I was like, I don't want to look at a camera. I don't want to look down a viewfinder. I don't want to like take pictures of like a thing I'm stoked about. I like have this thing where I'm like, I just want to be at the thing or do the thing, but not like have this extra like camera or whatever associated with it. So interesting, like just how people are different with that. I love hearing.
And sometimes it's not even like the editing process. It's just shooting something different. And when I get home and upload them, I probably have 10, 11,000 photos in a thing called lost files. And it's like, when I'm feeling like I'm burnt out sometimes, I'll just go in there and randomly be like, oh, I forgot I even took this picture.
That's a cool.
And like edit that and switches it up.
That's a really cool idea. I get into these moments where I'm like, I should like circle back to my catalog and like see what of it I'm stoked about when I'm, you know, feeling some type of way.
It's also like funny to look at that and be like, oh, 3 years ago, like this was trash. I've learned so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, what a cool way to like frame that, dude. It's been so sick to chat with you about all this. I have some rapid fire questions for you, just like front of mind, whatever comes. Okay. All right. So, biggest inspiration in photography?
Like person or thing?
Yes, person.
My girlfriend, Ashley Yates.
She's so good. I was introduced to her at Coffee Connection, like through Benny.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's a crazy good photographer and she's dating a crazy good photographer. And I was like, oh, so super cool. But then I like hadn't put those pieces together until then when like we met at I think it was like at Benny's barbecue.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was. I was like, oh, okay, this all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Very cool. Favorite place in the world, location.
That I've been to or want to go to?
Both.
Favorite place in the world that I've been to, Montego Bay, Jamaica. On my bucket list, I want to shoot in Iceland on the black sand beach.
Same.
I seen a photographer, couldn't even tell you his name. I kept looking at his picture on Instagram, and I was just blown away at how it looked. And I was like, I asked him, I'm like, what did you edit this with to make it look like black and white? And he goes, it's not black and white. It was just a cloudy day, and this is a black sand beach. And I was just like, what?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Man.
have to go there.
I love it. Okay. I love that. Best tacos in town.
Azteca.
Okay. Love it. Up early or stay up late?
Both. It's
Feel
probably
that.
not good, but both.
No, I feel that. What's your favorite pastime that's not photography?
Music.
Love it. Playing or listening?
Both. I dabble in drums,
Okay.
and I listen to pretty much anything.
I love it. What's your favorite book?
Ooh, Lord. Favorite book? The Outsiders.
Heck yeah. What's the best place for everybody to connect with you? How can we keep up with you?
Facebook, 1221 Photography. Instagram, same, 1221.com. Or if you see my logo, I'm out and about. Just, say hi.
I love it. I love it. Anything else we should know before we give a little sign off here?
Kind is cool. Be kind to yourself. And most of the time, your anxiety is lying to you.
Man, I love it. Thanks so much for being here, Zach.
No
Super
problem.
great to
Thanks
chat.
for having me.
Yeah. And keep an eye out. Let's do more of these. And let's chat to more people that you guys want to connect with and see. And have a blessed rest of your day.